Aviation background, Navy test pilot. 6 NASA missions, 4 as commander. PhD in orbital dynamics and engineering. So what do you got to be worried about?
She's not going to assess them as well, is she?
I think her primary interests are in the human crew members' life. But she may want to know what their career objectives are.
I don't think they'll operate so well in a group dynamics environment, that's all. I mean, it can be kind of intimidating.
Don't worry. Word is that she intends to deal with each of us individually.
Ouch. I hate it already.
So she's on board?
Shannon's taking her to the guest suite, and then she'll be with Catherine, and then the fun starts.
What's her name?
Professor Weaver.
Professor? Professor of what?
Don't know. Guess we'll find out. But she does have a nickname.
Oh, yeah?
The Raptor.
As in Velociraptor?
Right. Except this one wears a suit. Oh, something else. She never sleeps.
The less people know about themselves, the happier they feel. They have a sense of well-being, a sense of purpose.
Superficially, maybe, but I'm sorry, I still don't understand why you feel my crew could suffer emotional damage during this assessment.
Let's just say the more personal it gets, the more it reveals about what we're trying to hide.
This is corporate psychology. I'm not sure I want them subjected to this kind of thing.
It's what your company requested. From what I can determine, previous appraisals have been a little too soft.
Well, I'd like to know what the crew can anticipate, so why don't I go first?
We've already started. You created your own test, Commander. Although the loyalty you display towards your crew is an admirable characteristic, it is also a potential flaw.
Really? How can loyalty be regarded as a flaw?
It can blind us to the failings in our colleagues. And in an environment like this, that can be lethal.
You're in free drift, unity out.
Dusan, what's the company's most recent update on the status of the Romes? I mean, what do they believe their capabilities are?
Sub-level inspection, maintenance of hazardous areas, basic drone functions, I guess. Why?
Just trying to make sure we're all telling the same story, that's all.
The same story.
From this point on, you are my impartial observer. You can stay with me and watch everything that happens, but you cannot comment or intervene. This has to be a totally cold appraisal.
Hey guys. Whoa, I'm going to adjust your work schedule. Forget the main deck maintenance rundown. I'd like you to get back to the hydroponicum instead and, just stay there. Yes?
It must be frustrating.
What must be?
I suppose you'd define it as occupational impotence? You enter a profession to achieve a particular purpose, in your case, curing the sick, then find yourself in an environment where your skills remain largely unchallenged.
Well, Professor, contrary to what you may believe, I find the work on board Unity continually challenging.
But you are creatively emasculated.
I don't agree. We are dealing with the unknown. I run a complex program monitoring the crew's progress through what is effectively an alien environment. We have 7 people in an enclosed habitat. The psychological and physical stresses are considerable. Don't delude yourself.
Okay. Scenario. Explosive decompression. 4 crew members are injured, the commander amongst them. To whom do you administer treatment first?
Those that are the most severely injured, irrespective of the rank.
Are you sure? You just told me this is an alien environment. Surely you administer first to the crew member who has the most comprehensive knowledge about surviving in that environment.
You shouldn't have to think about this. Place yourself in the scenario. Who has most command over your collective survival?
This is neither fair nor reasonable. Any physician would react just as Carve has.
He's not just any physician.
What kind of an assessment is that?
Preliminary, and you broke the rules, Commander.
You expect me to stand and watch whilst a colleague is reproached and intimidated?
He was challenged. He was neither intimidated nor reproached. And yes, that's what you agreed to do. Stand, watch, observe. These are admirable instincts, Commander, trying to protect your crew, but you're depreciating your own assessment score. Complete access, remember?
And? What's she like? So you're not in love with our assessor, huh?
She wants a complete report on my last 28 days' work schedule. And she wants a report from Julius on my report. It's like being back in school.
She obviously likes to be informed, Walter.
Well, I report to the company, not to this shrink.
Hey, be careful. That's exactly the reaction she's looking for.
What do you mean?
That she probably won't even look at the report. Walter, she's interested in how you respond to the request. So don't worry about it.
You're awfully relaxed about this.
I guess I find it a challenge. Mind games. Why don't you try looking at it that way as well, Walter?
Why don't I? I'll tell you why, Jason. I'm on the wrong side of 50. And there are an awful lot of hungry young people in this business. Get it?
Makes sense.
Unity Personnel Communications. Leah speaking. How may I help you?
This is Walter Shannon. You got a message for me?
Just a moment, Mr. Shannon. Hello, Dr. Loomis speaking.
This is Walter Shannon on Space Station Unity. I have a message to call you.
Oh, Mr. Shannon, thank you. I'm Sally Loomis of Memorial Hospital in Pasadena.
Yes?
Are you in a private area, Mr. Shannon? I mean, is it appropriate to speak
Well,
with you?
I'm in my quarters, yes. What is it, Dr. Loomis?
Harry, this is Professor Weaver. Harry Eschenbach.
How do you do? Have a good ride up?
Hello, Miss Eschenbach. Thank you, I did.
Call me Harry. Miss Eschenbach is kind of a mouthful.
All right. Thank you, I will. I want to congratulate you, Harry.
Why? We haven't started yet, huh?
Well, you are the first pregnant woman working in space.
Yeah, the company have been very supportive and very understanding.
I'm sure they will continue to be. Catherine, you know, I think Harry can take care of herself, and I'm sure you've got things you need to do.
Oh, very well. I'll be on avionics if you need me.
So, tell me about your work. What are you currently engaged in?
Well, right now I'm working on cell synthesis, the manufacture of living human cells. If we succeed, the implications are considerable, both personally and for the company.
I'm sure. The Roche Institute and First Drug have invested close on 50 million in research, but then they've invested almost as much with Global Lab as well. So I guess it's first past the post, right?
We are quite a way down the road. You're holding organized prebiotic material in your hand. Kind of primordial soup. What you're looking at has the same structural element as a living cell, except it's not alive. Yet. But when we add these lipids, an immediate reaction occurs. And these droplets, they're the first stages of living cell.
Impressive. I've been studying your research log. The cell synthesis project has moved on considerably since you took it over from Miss Hernandez, even though she has 300 hours credited to her.
Since I took it over, I initiated this work. I've been pursuing this project for almost 2 years.
Perhaps I misread the log.
Why don't you have a look at it again? I am the project director. Paula assists me. I didn't take it over, not from anyone.
How long has she been in the coma?
Since 10 o'clock last night. They rushed her to the hospital, but tried to revive her, but she slipped into a deeper coma. I tried talking to her, but they're not sure whether she can hear or understand anything I say.
Okay, have you spoken to Catherine?
1 hour! 1 lousy hour earlier, and I would have got that shuttle. But now I'm stuck up here. And I can't get to her. Do you know how that makes me feel?
I can only try.
And I can't understand half of this stuff that Loomis is talking about.
Well, do you want me to speak to him for you?
Would you? I mean, you guys speak a different language.
Sure. Well, let me do that for you, Charlotte.
Thanks, Copy.
Okay.
So who's next?
It doesn't work like that. No appointments. She just shows up. Gives her a bit more of an edge.
Well, it's no picnic, I can tell you. And this is just a preliminary. And when Catherine tried to intervene, she just squashed.
What's the objective behind these intimidation tactics?
Shall I tell him? It's just to make the company feel better. They play these mind games, they tell us how to work together as a focused team, and then Weaver is sending them a big bill, and they relax for 3 months.
Oh, hi, guys.
Bye.
I know. Make sure she doesn't see them wandering around the main hab areas.
Through this whole project.
Catherine,
What is it, Paula?
this Professor Weaver,
Yes?
does she have clearance to go through our research and databases?
She seems to have clearance to do whatever she wants. Why?
Well, she's been right through our cell synthesis project, and now Harry is behaving really strangely.
Uh-huh.
Well, you're at her meeting. What's going on? What's happened?
No, I left. And Paula, I don't think you should rise to this. Weaver's looking for cracks in the team.
Well, I'm not going to be alienated from someone I work closely with and then frozen out. I don't like it. It's unnecessary, and I want an explanation.
Hear or understand this, but I feel certain that if I say the words, they'll somehow find you. Words. We always think there'll be time to say the things that are most difficult and most important, but we put them off. Now there isn't any time, and I can't get to you. I remember when Dad died, I didn't want to leave home and go into the service, but you said I had to go, that I had to let go, that we all have to let go sometime in our lives. Well, I guess we both have to let go now. Seems so crazy that I'm so near, spinning around the world on the cusp of the earth. I could cover the distance in a 2-hour car ride, like the ones we used to take on Sundays, out in the desert to watch the sun go down. Remember?
It's a perpetually regenerating closed-loop system. I was involved in the planning stages.
I've been reading your resume, Lyle.
Your career route to Unity has been somewhat circuitous, hasn't it? Mathematics, physics, biology, biospherics?
Well, there was no formal educational path for me to follow, so I had to create my own. I suppose I'm sort of a pioneer. Quite something, isn't it?
Yes, but I'm unsure of its exact application.
Oh, it has a range of applications. The most significant being its role in the CLS, the habitat system. It is a microcosm of an Earth habitat, but beyond that, we're conducting research into the origins of life, for example.
Yes, I know. I was talking to Harry Eschenbach about that.
Well, I do have my own projects as well, creating new life from non-living materials.
But her synthetic cell research, that's a major contract for the company. The synthesis of life is one of the holy grails of science, isn't it?
Well...
And Dr. Homayuni, he is interested in using DNA to predict a patient's medical future rather than catching up on his medical history, am I correct?
That's true.
Dr. Campbell, you are Chief Science Officer here, aren't you?
Yes, I am.
Wouldn't it be beneficial if all these projects were amalgamated to give the end user the benefit of a combined overview?
Well,
Well, what?
fundamental research doesn't really work in that way.
Individual agendas compromise the group objective, is that what you mean?
No, I don't mean that at all. I mean, we each have our own avenues of inquiry. When it's appropriate, information is pulled and a group perspective taken. That is how science works. Fragments of information, one notion sparking another, the combined resolution of a puzzle.
I'm surprised you have time for anything. Managing this place must be a full-time job. You run it all alone?
Yes, that's correct. All alone.
I absolutely resent it. The implication that I would manipulate the research diary for my own benefit. All the hours I've logged on the cell synthesis project are legitimately my own.
Are you sure about that? Weaver was talking about my having taken over the project once you'd set it up. How'd you get that impression, huh?
Well, she didn't get the information from me. Have you looked at the log yourself?
No, I didn't.
Oh, so you accepted her word over mine?
Listen, Paula, I brought you onto this project, and I'm glad I have you alongside me.
Alongside you? We have equal status on the science deck. You may have done more hours than me, but we work together under Lyle, the Chief Science Officer.
Paula, I don't need reminding of your status or of mine. I am merely reminding you of the conditions under which projects are initiated and to whom they are assigned.
Hey, Lyle. How'd it go?
I reckon I achieved a score of somewhere around 0.
What happened?
She had all the right questions. I had all the wrong answers.
See, we have the same results in the cytology tests. When you compare the two tissues, you find that the same thing happens. Ah, Professor?
You must be Paula Hernandez. I was hoping to talk to you.
Yes, well, I've read my contract, and I know I can be reprimanded for failing to participate in this appraisal, but that cannot compromise how my work and professional conduct is regarded. Furthermore, I did not and would not manipulate my research records. Is that clear?
I admire your spirit.
I'm not interested in what you admire.
Volatility is her middle name.
Kaveh?
Hi. I've spoken to Dr. Loomis.
And?
It's not good. Your mother has suffered a second stroke. She's on a life support system.
I see. Well, that means...
Without it, her respiratory and heart functions would cease, and brain death would follow shortly thereafter.
Still, there's a chance, right? I mean...
An artificial situation, Walter. She is in limbo. I mean, your mother can remain in this state for weeks, even months, but she will not recover. This is the worst aspect of my job. I've always hated.
No, you're wrong. It's it's better to lay it on the line. And I appreciate it, my friend.
Walter, the decision in law...
Yeah, I know what you're going to say.
I know it's an agonizing decision and a private one.
She's already talking about a lack of focus and discipline on the science deck, about how we should amalgamate information. As Chief Science Officer, it's my responsibility to ensure that we present a coordinated front. How we act behind that front is entirely our own affair.
Back off, love. If the company isn't smart enough to look at our client record, then to hell with them.
No, the company listens to these people. I mean, they have to. They spend millions on these appraisals. And look what happened in R&D after Weaver had got through with them. They're not taking any prisoners. I'm telling you, we have to play this game out until she's off the station.
But I ain't playing any damn game.
And what's got into you?
Weaver.
But you haven't done your assessment yet.
No, and I'm not going to. She's already accused me of taking undue credit for the cell synthesis project. She's driven a wedge between Harry and myself, and nobody seems to care what effect this is having on us. So you can present whatever kind of front you like.
Well, you're not going to let that happen, are you? Eh? You're not going to allow her to drive a wedge between you and Paula?
No.
The service drones are programmed to locate and repair any minor faults in the HAB systems, the vent shafts, cooling loops, etc.
I'm surprised Dr. Campbell hasn't attempted to upgrade them, given his interest in AI drones.
The company are considering replacing them with fully autonomous AI drones.
But we all hold an affection for the ones we have. They're kind of children of the family.
How touching. You regard yourselves as a family.
Well, any small group in a situation like this adopts some kind of familial structure. It's a standard survival technique. But I'm sure you knew that, Professor.
And what role do you play in this family, Doozen?
Black sheep, maybe.
Oh, I thought you wanted to talk about the
AE35 antenna, the replacement.
Yeah, right.
Right. We ordered it?
Yeah, I think so. I'll check the cargo manifest.
You think so? This is kind of a crucial piece of maintenance, Walter.
Okay. I'll check it, Commander.
Hey, Walter. Hey, I don't think Catherine meant it quite the way it sounded.
Hey, Catherine's the boss. She gets to call the shots. She wants me to check the antennas. I'll check the damn antennas. But I'll tell you one thing. I know what's going on around here. Catherine's under just as much pressure as we are, and she has to assert herself.
Yeah, okay, perhaps. But, I just wouldn't want you...
You wouldn't want what, Doozen?
I wouldn't want you being rattled by this woman, after what you said earlier. Your age and...
Well, go on. Say it. Spit it out.
Come on, Walter. Let's not get personal here, okay?
Come on. I can take it. What is it? Don't be worried, old man. You're past 50, but you're not past it. Is that it? Maybe she won't write you up for replacement just because you forgot the AE35s. Is that it? Oh, maybe she'll just forget about it. Maybe she'll just let it slide. Oh, but a younger man would be on the case.
I was just concerned, all right? Nobody wants to go through this. And I realized you were anxious about the appraisal. Just forget it.
Drones, stop! Drones, ostensibly sub-level operatives, present on main deck. Can you take me to Dr. Campbell, please?
Walter, I owe you an apology.
Forget it. We're all under a lot of pressure.
Yes, but that wasn't necessary.
She's getting to you too, huh?
Well, nothing I can't handle. Walter, something's wrong. You care to tell me about it?
No. But what I can tell you is that I wouldn't wish it on anybody.
And where have you been? I thought I told you to stay here once you completed the sub-level check. Eh? Professor Weaver. And, how are you?
These drones have been upgraded. They've got enhanced processing facilities and creative logic drive.
Why would you think that?
They understood what I was saying.
So, what's the actual procedure here, Doctor? If I give my consent?
Once we have your consent, Walter, you can elect a time to discontinue the life support, or if you wish, we can make that decision for you.
No, I mean, would anybody be with her when?
When the life support machine is turned off.
Yes. When the life support's turned off.
Of course, Walter. It isn't as impersonal as you imagine. In the absence of a family member, a nurse or physician would be present.
Could you be there, Doctor?
Of course, Walter.
I'd appreciate that because, well, you were with her when it happened, and
I understand.
Then I wish to give my consent for the termination of my mother's life support system. And I would like you to do it tomorrow at 7 o'clock, because that's the time she finished work in her garden every day. And that's the way I'll always remember her.
Research Officer Hernandez. Why don't you listen, and I'll talk, and that way you don't have to participate. It says in the notes which accompany your application that you got an I-5 in your character and temperament test. Know what that means? The I stands for integration factor, and you're marked across a scale from 1 to 7. This is about your social ability to operate in a small, isolated group. 1 is highly eligible. 2 renders you definite interview material. 3 is questionable. And so on, down the scale. Usual procedure is to disqualify any applicant who scores above a 4. They don't even get to the interview stage. So you were already on the wrong side of the table when you got the interview. And Cave said when we met in the corridor, and you were so cordial, that volatility is your middle name. It makes mention in your character profile of your pronounced adversarial tendencies. Wow. So my guess is you must also be highly persuasive, given there were 4,000 applicants for the job. You interest me. You're clearly highly qualified and clearly reckless. But there's little in your profile which meets, and I quote, the requirements of a member of an elite group in a closed and possibly hazardous environment.
Well, maybe I'm something of a chameleon.
Oh, she talks.
And she also has a first with honours in biological and cellular studies.
Yes, I've read your CV.
Well, read it again. I passed every group study and a simulation test they threw at me. Yeah. So I got a wide score in my IF test. But they decided to consider my application across the full spectrum of my abilities. They used initiative, just as we all have to up here. Maybe you should try applying some, Professor.
Cut it out, Lyle. You're panicking.
Of course I'm panicking. She knows all about the rooms and my attempts to upgrade them. She gave me a hell of a rough ride over the science deck operation, and they're firing people left and right downside. I'm telling you, I'm for the chop.
Don't be ridiculous.
She told me about this scenario, albeit run on computer, about an off-world station supervised by 3 drones. Explosive decompression renders the crew inoperative. What do the drones do?
Go on. What do?
They shut down all the HAB systems. Air, light, power, heat. What's the point in running them if you don't need them?
That's simply inept programming. Sound enough logic otherwise.
If you're a Rome.
Are you aware that Dr. Campbell has been upgrading the drones? Experimenting with artificial intelligence?
Robotics is not my area of expertise. It isn't required to be.
That's not an answer.
Look, the hydroponicum and the science deck, Dr. Campbell's domain, is an autonomous entity. We largely exist to enable them to function. That's where the company earns its revenue.
I take it then that you are aware that the drones are being upgraded. I'll mark my report that they have access to habitation areas. I consider that incautious. What would be the consequences of closing down the hydroponicum? You had the makings of a distinguished academic career. Why did you withdraw your paper on confusion theory?
Prices are stupid and I'm not that competitive. I wanted this job more than an accolade and more than something to hang on the wall.
Didn't you also have some personal difficulties with your tutor?
It's nothing uncommon.
What were the circumstances surrounding Dr. Sutter's death whilst on board the station?
Accidental. Accidental as reported by Commander McTiernan and accepted by the ISC.
I wasn't inferring anything. You're very self-confident.
Well, I need to be. We're moving at a speed of 17,000 miles an hour, and most of the decisions are made by a computer. Someone has to talk to a computer, and someone has to watch over us.
Would you prefer to work solely with Julius?
No crew, of course. Certain problems wouldn't arise, and Julius rarely makes mistakes. But Homo sapiens is still a social animal, so
Your contract's up in 4 months' time. Have you any anxieties about being replaced?
well, I don't have anxieties, period, and I can't think of anyone better qualified. Except maybe Dershowitz at MIT, but he's afraid of heights. So, I'm sorry, but I'm busy. Would you mind?
Sure. I'll catch you later.
I don't think so.
I think we should decide what airlock to throw her out of.
There's nothing radically different about this assessment from any other. She's just putting an adversarial spin on it. That's all, different tactics.
It has all the hallmarks of a purge to me.
150 people. Remember this.
Harry, R&D was always overmanned. They have 1,600 employees down there. We're 7 up here. Any news from the front, Catherine?
She's after the hydroponicum. And you better keep a tight leash on the Romes. That was a mistake.
There, I told you so. See?
What does it mean she's after the hydroponicum?
She thinks it's redundant.
Well, now, wait a minute.
I don't believe for one moment I'd countenance shutting it down. I'd go before it did.
And do you mean that?
Yes, Lyle, I do mean that. I'm under pressure as well, you seem to forget that. I'm under pressure from her and pressure from you. I'm being challenged about crew discipline, research targets, the Romes, you experimenting with AI, which I had to duck. We agreed that the Romes should stay sub-level while she was on board.
Well, they didn't understand.
Bad luck.
Anyway, look at us. I mean, this is a test of crew solidarity. We failed. We're falling right into the trap. So we better devise some sort of strategy of our own, like not rising to this.
Well, I have a strategy. Airlock 7 vents right into space.
Listen, I'll lend you a hand with your plan.
That could get us all fired.
Doesn't anything get to you?
Sure, things that matter.
And what matters?
Well, Paula, you do. You matter. And the rest of the crew. This mission. Us all hanging together as a team. Not allowing ourselves to be tripped up by some woman with a clipboard and a bunch of stupid questions.
Play me the first part again.
You do. You matter.
What's up? Weaver fired you?
No, she hasn't.
Well, you don't seem too comfortable.
I never am when I have to betray confidence.
Whose confidence?
Walter's. But this is something he shouldn't carry on his own.
Goodbye, Mom.
Testing two people together.
It all depends what you're trying to find out. Sometimes a very specific set of circumstances is required to bring certain characteristics to light.
You make it sound as though we are your personal lab rats.
What a perceptive analogy. It shows a desire to diffuse the threat of a given situation by using forced humor as a line of defense. How intriguing.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please come in, Miss Hernandez. Would you mind sitting over there?
What do you mean, choose which one of us dies?
The life support systems have been deactivated. The air seals on the avionics deck are jammed, so there's no way out. You have a little under 90 seconds to make a decision. Lethal fumes are flooding the environment.
Well, seeing as I outrank you, my survival is of more importance. Therefore, the oxygen mask is mine.
You'd let me die, just like that?
In emergency situations like this, we go by the rule book, not your emotions.
The initial stages of toxemia are beginning to affect your judgment. Make a decision.
Come on, Paula, be logical. I have the knowledge and ability to stabilize the station, and you don't.
So I automatically draw the short straw?
Well, think of the money at stake here. The repairing costs if anything happens to Unity.
Screw Unity, we're talking about someone's life here, my life.
You're both beginning to lapse into coma. You'll be dead in approximately 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. You've both just expired and you've both failed completely.
Well, no, you're wrong.
You questioning my decision?
Yes. Every rulebook states the safety of the station is paramount, even at the cost of the lives of your crew members.
There's yards of ducting cable running through the course of this deck. You had time to cut some free, pull out the wires, and make a dual feed pipe for the oxygen mask.
We would have wasted precious time. Essential repair programs could have been done.
You're forgetting one vital fact. Stabilization procedures require 2 operatives at the avionics consoles. You needed Miss Hernandez alive. You sacrificed her life for no apparent reason.
Paula, wait. Paula, come on, it was a dumb hypothetical scenario.
Yeah, you blew
You know, we had to play it out. I can't believe you're falling for this.
Supposing it wasn't a dumb hypothetical scenario.
Well, then we both learned something,
you're the guy
right?
with all the answers.
I hate to interrupt you guys, but Catherine wants to see us all. In the wardroom. Now.
Yes?
Walter Shannon.
Come on in. I hope this is convenient. I don't want to cut into your schedule.
This is fine. I had a rather light day.
Really?
Yes, really.
So, next birthday you'll be...
You have my file there.
You're going to apply for a 3rd tour?
That's my intention, yes.
No plans to retire then?
No. There's guys in their mid-60s still flying shuttles, and I'm in premium health.
Well, you have slightly elevated blood pressure, but I know that it's controlled with medication. Aviation background. Distinguished career with NASA. Engineering dynamics leading to a doctorate in orbital mechanics. Your career profile is unique amongst this crew.
You might say I'm from the old school.
How do you regard that? Given that the rest of the crew are significantly younger and from very different backgrounds.
That I provide a balance. An older, more seasoned voice, if you will.
You consider your crewmates as being inexperienced?
No. I hold them all in the highest regard. But we have an age range here from late 20s to early 50s. I think that's healthy. I mean, I can learn from them, and with any luck, they can learn from me.
And there are no family matters that might encroach on your continuing service with the station?
No. None.
I'm occupied here, Commander.
I'm calling off the assessment.
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Certain circumstances.
Catherine, I don't want any special considerations here.
It's all right, Walter. I know, and I understand.
I want this assessment to continue. This is my career here.
This is about all of us. Please. The purpose of this assessment was to improve group dynamics, increase efficiency, and ensure research targets were met. Do you want to know what I think? I think quite the opposite has occurred.
Well, I think you run a pretty fly-by-the-arse and ramshackle crew and station. I think they lack discipline. I think they run the line somewhere between indolence and insubordination.
But that's the way you like to run things.
Well, I'm sorry.
Don't be.
No, I mean for you.
Sorry for me. Why?
You can't think too much of yourself to be doing this work. Intimidating people, seeding anxiety, suspicion, pitting professional people one against the other. I wonder what went wrong.
Nothing. I'm doing work that I enjoy and that ultimately benefits people.
You see, I don't believe it. And I don't see any benefits arising from this kind of intimidation. I think you're better than that.
Well, I appreciate your endorsement, Commander.
No, you don't need to. And please don't worry about being generous in your depiction of how things are up here. We are what we are. But ultimately, we each support one another. It isn't an easy undertaking. 7 people living in this confined space. And frankly, whatever your report has...
I am not oblivious to that. Had you asked me anything about the content of my report, I would have told you that the crew's loyalty and solidarity were my prime reason for recommending that there were no personnel changes. I'd like to talk to Mr. Shannon again, if that's all right with you, Commander.
At the moment, Mr. Shannon deserves some space and some respect. His mother died this evening.
Yes. I know that. Fairly light day, you said.
Professor.
I've been in that place.
Sorry?
What you had to do. I've been there. My father, in an auto accident when I was 18. He'd raised me since my mother died when I was 7. And we were like this.
How did you feel when you had to?
It's kind of like when someone gets on an airplane. Someone you love, and you don't want them to go. But when they've gone, somehow you're both liberated. They've started the journey, and you're free to carry on. Is that how you feel?
Yeah. Yeah, that's how I feel.
I just wanted you to know. That's a solitary place to be. But perhaps not quite so solitary when you know someone else who's done it.
Professor, how did you know about this? About my mother?
That really doesn't matter now, does it?